This video starts with me replacing my halyards. I took the old ones to a marine shop to get replacements sized up and used runners for easy reinstall. So I'm trying to put up my jib halyard, and one end of my runner, I accidentally let go of it and it's currently flying away. So this is the one end. And up there. There's the other end about 50 feet away. So I might just have to wait till the wind dies down and grab it, I guess. Afterwards, we took the boat out for a little sailing. The Norfolk area is home to a lot of warships and dolphins. Back at the marina, I made my transom freshwater washdown hose compatible with a standard garden hose and added a cutoff valve. My previous hose had leaked whenever the freshwater system was pressurized. This 25-foot garden hose is a big upgrade over the 3-foot leaking hose I had before. I wheeled the sewage pump-out cart all the way to my boat for the first time to discover that the waste deck fitting was seized shut. Unfortunately, even WD-40 wasn't up to the task. I removed the deck fitting and tried PB Blaster and heat, and still nothing. Although I realized afterwards that I should have applied the heat to the body rather than the lid. Heat makes metal expand slightly, so by heating the lid I really wasn't helping. I doubt it would have helped me regardless, though this cap was stuck pretty good. I decided to replace all of my caps with new stainless steel ones. This wasn't my proudest job on my boat, so feel free to give me some hate in the comments. I plan on redoing these deck fittings properly at some point. I took a break from the deck fittings to fix a leak on my mast wire through hauls. Buddy. This little fucker. I got this far in replacing my diesel cap to realize I got too thin of a deck fitting. The waste and water caps were for a 1.5 inch diameter hose, and the diesel was for a 2-inch diameter hose. These new stainless steel deck fittings were now the right size for the hose, but the cap itself was also a smaller diameter than the original Beneteau brand ones. This made for a hard time mounting them, and it kind of turned out like a botch job. All three of these fittings had rot on the fiberglass around the hole, so when I redo them, I'm going to recore the fiberglass and make the holes a little bit smaller. This boat had previously gotten in an accident and bent this stanchion bad enough that the lifeline wouldn't reach anymore, so I tried unsuccessfully to bend it back using ratchet straps. I'm not a good cook, but by this point I was living on board full time, so I was making an effort to cook more often. You can also see here what happens when you downsize from a large house to a small boat. Fixing my toilet was high on my to-do list. I bought a replacement pump as it was not much more expensive than just replacing the gaskets in the Joker valve. Look at the old toilet pump and I think you'll agree with me. Luckily these replacements are plug and play even with older models like mine. It's a pretty nasty job and I didn't do it at the time, but I recommend just going ahead and replacing your waste hose, which is the black one in this video. After a few years the nastiness soaks through them and they smell. You can see the white residue on the outside. I think that's salt, which is soaked through. It's not enough to drip, but it still smells up the entire bathroom. So, you saw the toilet flushes, but every time I use the pump it gets harder and harder, so it's building up a pressure in the sewage line, which concerns me because I'm afraid it's gonna fucking pop on me. I checked the vent to the sewage tank and that is open, and I even tried flushing it with the cap to the holding tank open and nothing. It's still just as hard as before. And I don't want to keep pumping it because it's building up pressure, and the last thing I want to do is fucking explode shit all over the boat. I'm thinking is that there's the Y valve that takes the toilet discharge to either the tank or overboard. I have to look at that and see if there's another valve. Maybe it's aligned to overboard, but then there's a seacock that's shut. I'm not sure. But either way, it's not going anywhere right now. So that being said, the bowl's not refilling, so it definitely fixed a good number of the problems. And it's bringing up salt water from the saltwater line, so it will drain the toilet now with salt water. So those are two improvements, but there's something wrong with my line as well, but past the pump, so I have to figure that out now. luckily that was the issue. It was building up pressure because it was aligned to the overboard discharge, and the overboard discharge seacock was shut, which it should be, because you're not able to discharge waste overboard within, I believe it's 3 nautical miles of land, because of, you don't want to fill like the water people are swimming in and fishing in with shit, right? So it was shut, which is why when I was trying to flush it was building up pressure, because it was just pressurizing the line from the discharge of the toilet to the overboard seacock. Line there is the discharge, so it loops up around, comes back through the wall over to here, where it comes through the bulkhead over here to this Y valve, this 3-way valve, and then this upper line goes around through that seacock. So you can see it's open right now, that relieved the pressure. So I'm going to shut that to prevent any overboard discharge, and then I'll flip the Y valve. It needs a handle, so I'm going to need to find something to actually turn the valve with that little piece right there. Once I get that aligned to the holding tank, it'll go through the lower hose, through back there, goes underneath this bed to this little black hose going into this holding tank. And then when you want to suction out your holding tank, it goes out of that black hose up to the deck cap. And then that little other hose, a little tiny one, that is the vent hose, and that also has a valve to shut it, and that's inside one of the lazarettes. Let me show you. But there is this valve right here, which is for the ventilation, and it goes just overboard. So right now it's open. When a valve's like this in line with the hose, it means it's open. Like this means it's shut. So that's just an air vent, and now it's open, so that'll allow gases from the sewage to kind of build up to go overboard and not pressurize your tank and potentially explode. And then it goes overboard on the boat to one of those 2 overboards right there. So that was not my problem, but I figured I would show you guys where that was. And like I said with the valve for that one, it's the same with this one. So for this overboard right now, because it's in line with the hose, it's aligned overboard, but that's not allowed because they're within 3 miles of land. So I'm going to shut it. And now my toilet won't flush right now until I reline the three-way valve, but I am also not going to accidentally dump overboard into the marina. So, and if you're concerned that I dumped overboard earlier when I was testing the toilet, no, because I flushed the toilet line with fresh water a whole bunch before I took apart the toilet, and so whatever was in that line was fresh water or the salt water that filled the toilet up when I actuated the toilet flush mechanism. So I'm just going to replace the entire thing because it is probably original to the boat. The hand wheel, the hand operator is completely missing, and I can't, right now it's stuck to the overboard position, which, as you guys should know, and if you don't know, it's illegal in order to dump, you know, fecal matter overboard on the boat, right? Within a certain number of nautical miles from land is a crime, and that's just due to, you know, bacteria and things like that. If everyone was to dump their sewage in a marina or in a harbor, it would quickly get full of dead, you know, dangerous bacteria and smell like crap. So it has this 3-way valve to be able to align it either straight overboard. So if you're at sea, you can use the toilet and go straight to the water. That's totally fine, right? Because there's enough water volume to be able to dilute the bacteria to not really be an issue. You think, I mean, animals die, poop, all sorts of stuff in the water anyway, so it's not a huge deal when it's out in the middle of the ocean. When you're in a harbor and coastal areas, it becomes a lot more big of a deal. So this we will be able to align. So this comes from the toilet, and this will go to the sewer tank, and this will go directly overboard. So you'll be able to align it whichever one you want. And it's got a little spot here for a padlock, because for the Coast Guard and some of those inspections, you're supposed to have it locked to the tank position when you're within a certain number of miles from land. That way you can't accidentally flush the toilet and have it go overboard. So you would have a padlock installed on here strictly to the tank, the onboard storage tank, and then when you were out at sea, if you want to, you can unpadlock it, flip it, and then that way when you flush your toilet, it'll go straight out to the water. And some boats are equipped with a master and a pump where it will straight up drain their tank and just throw it straight overboard. I tried disconnecting the hoses, but the tight space gave me no choice but to cut the three-way valve out. These hoses are wire cord, so I used a knife to cut the rubber and then wire snips to cut the wire. The freshly cut ends of this hose were very tight, so I used a couple tricks to get them onto the three-way valve. The heat gun makes the rubber more malleable and stretchable, and I used a drop of dish soap to lubricate the male ends of the valve. I unfortunately wasn't able to capture this on video perfectly due to the small space I was working in. After I was done, I made sure to disinfect myself and all of my tools. So the toilet's all fixed. Whenever you want to flush, you unlock this by turning it 90 degrees. You pump up and down, that's gonna suck everything from the bottom. And if you want to flush it, you flip this lever to the left, and that's gonna bring in seawater, which is then gonna use to flush the bowl. Each pump brings in seawater to flush, and then also sucks from the bottom to remove it. And then when you're done, you just flip this lever back, and that's gonna only remove what's in there, and then stop pumping.